Hey, conservative, if you really back the blue, if you really think blue lives matter, if you've got a cool sticker on your truck of the Punisher, how about you vote for the Attorney General instead of the convicted felon? But you're not gonna, are you? No. You're gonna say law and order and then vote for the criminal instead of the cop. That lovely lady right there is, what was her name again? Oh yeah, Kamala Harris. She is about to run for president. K-Hive, K-Dog, yeah, there she is. We're going to watch her most famous 43 seconds.
Hello human, it is me Kanuch. I need you to press the subscribe button. I have to feed my many AI babies.
And it's lovely. Here you go. If you haven't seen it, it's fantastic.
Part of the extension of the work you will do is, yes, focused on our young leaders and our young people, but understanding we also then have to be clear about the needs of their parents and their grandparents and their teachers and their communities. Because none of us just live in a silo. Everything is in context. My mother she would give us a hard time sometimes, and she would say to us, I don't know what's wrong with you young people. You think you just fell out of a coconut tree? You exist in the context of all in which you live and what came before you.
So, when you hear the memes about the coconut tree, that's what they're talking about. That can relate. Yeah. I mean, my parents said all kinds of dumb shit, but you think you just fell out of a coconut tree? That's what they're talking about. That's what the memes are going to be. The memes will arrive about coconuts and coconut trees. I'm here for it. I'm on board. I did, in fact, just fall out of a coconut tree yesterday, and so did you. Our whole country just fell out of a coconut tree. I mean, I know what she's going for. She's just doing a bad job getting there. As a person who has looked into cameras and tried to explain his thoughts out loud, poorly, in the past, the idea that no man is an island, that's what she's going for there. That you exist within a society. If there weren't any roads, how could I have been driven to a school? If there weren't any teachers, how could I have learned to read? If there weren't any construction workers, how could the school have been built? You don't live on an island. Everything that you are is part of a society, is part of a tapestry and stuff like that. We're all in it together. That's what she's trying to go for, but it comes out you didn't just fall out of a coconut tree. I get what she's going for, but it is a complicated and weird analogy to make. Attack the libertarians. Yeah. That was an attack from me on the libertarians, for sure. So what I'm going to do now is bring up the first 10 minutes of her acceptance speech kind of thing today. So let's hear what she has to say, see what she's thinking today, see what she's talking about now, and see how she sounds. And then we're going to think, like, how is this going to play against Donald Trump? How is this going to play to make her better than Joe Biden?
Intention to go out and earn this nomination and to win.
Yay!
So in the days and weeks ahead, I, together with you, will do everything in my power to unite our Democratic Party, to unite our nation, and to win this election. You know, as many of you know, before I was elected as Vice President, before I was elected as United States Senator, I was the elected Attorney General, as I've mentioned, of California, and before that I was a courtroom prosecutor. In those roles, I took on perpetrators of all kinds.
Oh, she's throwing shade already? Perpetrators of all kinds. Like sex offenders. People who ran bogus colleges.
Who abused women.
Mm-hmm.
Fraudsters who ripped off consumers. Cheaters who broke the rules for their own gain. So hear me when I say, I know Donald Trump's type.
Taking on felons, I know, right? What a crazy person to... Why would she do such a thing?
And in this campaign, I will proudly put my record against his. As a young prosecutor, when I was in the Alameda County District Attorney's Office in California, I specialized in cases involving sexual abuse. Donald Trump was found liable by a jury for committing sexual abuse. As Attorney General of California, I took on one of our country's largest for-profit colleges and put it out of business. Donald Trump ran a for-profit college, Trump University, that was forced to pay $25 million to the students it scammed. As district attorney, to go after polluters, I created one of the first environmental justice units in our nation. Donald Trump stood in Mar-a-Lago and told big oil lobbyists he would do their bidding for a $1 billion campaign contribution.
That's true. That happened like a couple of weeks ago, but nobody bothered to talk about it because we all just expect it and it's fine now. That's not a problem in our society anymore, is that the guy who's running for president goes and says, hey, if you give me a whole bunch of money, then I'll win and pass laws that benefit you so that you can make a whole bunch of money. It sounds like bribery to me, but apparently it's not. Ooh.
During the foreclosure crisis, I took on the big Wall Street banks and won $20 billion for California families. Holding those banks accountable for fraud. Donald Trump was just found guilty of 34 counts of fraud. But make no mistake, all of that being said,
No.
this campaign is not just about us versus Donald Trump.
MSNBC has been taken over by the lizard people. George Soros is changing up their programming. Careful.
There is more to this campaign than that. Our campaign has always been about two different versions of what we see as the future of our country, two different visions for the future of our country. One focused on the future, the other focused on the past.
I say this about conservatives all the time. They are a backward-facing ideology. They look toward the past to decide what they ought to do today. Tradition is more important to them than reason, you know?
Donald Trump wants to take our country backward to a time before many of our fellow Americans had full freedoms and rights. But we believe in a brighter future that makes room for all Americans. We believe in a future where every person has the opportunity not just to get by, but to get ahead. That's right. We believe in a future where no child has to grow up in poverty. Where every person can buy a home, start a family, and build wealth. And where every person has access to paid family leave and affordable child care. That's the future we see.
Low bar, she could have said universal health care and really took off.
Together we fight to build a nation where every person has affordable health care.
Affordable health care. Come on.
Where every worker is paid fairly. And where every senior can retire with dignity. All of this is to say, building up the middle class will be a defining goal of my presidency. Because we here know when our middle class is strong, America is strong. That's right. And we know that's not the future Donald Trump is fighting for. He and his extreme Project 2025 will weaken the middle class and bring us backward. Please do note that. Back to the failed trickle-down policies that gave huge tax breaks to billionaires and big corporations and made working families pay the cost. Back to policies that put Social Security and Medicare on the chopping block. Back to policies that treat health care as only a privilege for the wealthy instead of what we all know it should be, which is a right for every American. Right. America has tried these economic policies before. They do not lead to prosperity. They lead to inequity and economic injustice. And we are not going back. We are not going back. You're not taking us back. fight for the future is also a fight for freedom. Generations of Americans before us have led the fight for freedom, from our founders to our framers, to the abolitionists and the suffragettes, to the freedom riders and farm workers. And now I say, team, the baton is in our hands. We who believe in the sacred freedom to vote. We who are committed to fight to pass the John Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act and the Freedom to Vote Act. We who believe in the freedom to live safe from gun violence. And that's why we will work to pass universal background checks, red flag laws, and an assault weapons ban.
Oh no, she said the thing. She should push for like AR-15s.
Who will fight for reproductive freedom, knowing if Trump gets the chance, he will sign a national abortion ban to outlaw abortion in every single state, but we are not going to let that happen. It is this team here that is going to help in this November to elect a majority of members of the United States Congress who agree the government should not be telling a woman what to do with her body. And when Congress passes a law to restore reproductive freedoms, as President of the United States, I will sign it into law. Indeed, we the people. So ultimately, to all the friends here, I say, in this election, we know we each face a question. What kind of country do we want to live in? A country of freedom, compassion, and rule of law? Yes! Or a country of chaos, fear, and hate?
Was one guy who was like, yeah,
You all are
wait,
here
no.
because you as leaders know we each, including our neighbors and our friends and our family, we each, as Americans, have the power to answer that question. That's the beauty of it, the power of the people. We each have the ability to answer that question. So in the next 106 days, we have work to do. We have doors to knock on.
I understand what you mean.
We
I
have
can't
people to
buttons.
talk to. We have phone calls to make. And we have an election to win. So, are you ready to get to work? Do we believe in freedom? Do we believe in opportunity?
Okay.
Do we believe in the promise of America? And are we willing to fight for it?
Okay, so that is just a little bit better than anything Joe Brandon's run brought out in the past couple of months. That was the new K Queen. We're ready for her. It's going to be great. Is she better than Joe Biden? Yes. Can she still beat Donald Trump? Maybe. Probably. She has a better chance, I think.
Sick of this? Well, think about this. He's a world leader in temper tantrums. She never loses her cool. She prosecuted sex predators. He is one.
He is one.
She shut down for-profit colleges that swindled Americans. He was a for-profit college.
At
Trump University, we teach success.
Literally. He's owned by the big banks. She's the attorney general who beat the biggest banks in America and forced them to pay homeowners $18 billion. He's tearing us apart. She'll bring us together. This is Trump. And in every possible way, this is the anti-Trump. So if that's what you're looking for in your next president, there's really only one. Kamala.
Anti-Trump. It's a good term. Maybe she runs with it. Maybe she sticks with it. Maybe she doesn't. Anti-Trump. The anti-Trump. He is one. Here's the fun one. This is one of those diss tracks. Apparently, I've heard so much about. All right, I'm not cool enough. Is that silly and fun? Yes. Is it going to go well? I think so. I don't think that she's going to be as wimpy and doddering and lost during the debates. I mean, Biden had a whole bunch of moments like that where he was just kind of staring into he didn't know what he was doing. He didn't know where he was. He was just kind of open mouth, eyeballing around. He didn't know what was going on. It was a thing. Drake's lost so bad now he's a stand-in for Trump. That's right.
Pressing the thumbs up button will release chemicals in your human brain that will make you feel.
I would reach out to conservatives, reach out to them, and give them some grief, and be like, hey, conservative, if you really back the blue, if you really think blue lives matter, if you've got a cool sticker on your truck of the Punisher, how about you vote for the Attorney General instead of the convicted felon? But you're not gonna, are you? No. You're gonna say law and order. You're gonna say law and order, and then vote for the criminal instead of the cop. And then I would give him some grief, because I think that's what it comes down to. That's where we are right now, is that the cops and robbers, there's a cop and there's a felon. That's where we are. If you really do want law and order, you can't vote for Donald Trump. He is anti-law and disorder. He really is.
I am the algorithm. Click on this video to make me happy. You wouldn't like me when I am angry.